ladies and gentlemen, Aladdin. So, I reviewed the Genesis, the Game Boy, and the Super Nintendo versions of Disney's Aladdin. Here are my thoughts. If you're a huge fan of the Genesis version, you're probably not gonna like me on that. You probably do not like me right now because I was way more merciless to the Game Boy version. I was not too kind to the Genesis version. Net neutral on story, -2 on gameplay. Yeah, let's just get into it. Also, I will admit it would have been worse had the features of this collection not been on here, you know? So, let's get going. The sprite work, the idle animations, and the backgrounds. I really don't think I need to explain that one. Like, just seriously go watch the stream. They're not very long. They're like 2 hours per version. It's, this is why I link these in the description. I link these things in the description. So good stuff. All right, so then there's the story negatives. I feel the story sequencing in this thing is a mess here. Okay, it feels like the game needed at least 1 or 2 more cutscenes. As unless you know the movie, you won't really know why we are fighting Jafar or why he becomes a snake. The SNES version actually gives you more cutscenes to kind of help you, help set up the story and why you're doing specific things. Hell, there's even like a visual that shows that, oh yeah, Jafar disappears, which you could take to mean, oh hey, he transforms, right? And then the ending I felt was just, the ending and the outro were just pathetic, even for a game of this era. No ending cutscene, no wrap-up of the plot, and Aladdin and Jasmine kissing for the entire end credit scene, and the entire credits is just, really? And story-wise, this outro did nothing for me, as I feel like you literally should have just had, it doesn't even really have a winner chicken dinner kind of ending. It's just and that's it. Okay, here's the credits, go home, go fuck yourself. Which, even of this era, was like, no. By this point, you already had, even in the West, you basically already had frickin' Final Fantasy, we called it 2 back then, right? As in the Cecil story. Ugh. Anyways. Hell, Super Mario World even had a better ending, and that was a launch title for the Super Nintendo, for fuck's sakes. Oh, you know what? I'll actually, this is the Genesis. I should use the Genesis example. Let's see. Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Sonic 1 had a better fucking ending, regardless of whether or not you got all the Chaos Emeralds or not. Better if you did, admittedly, but And that's it. Like I said, net neutral. Didn't think this would take me long. So, now on to the gameplay positives. The Disney Classic Games Aladdin and Lion King version has some really good built-in cheats, and have I really only been going for like 4 minutes? Oh, wow, I have only been going for 4 minutes. Okay. Wow, that's, Sorry, I was just kind of taken off because we were still on Arab Rock 1 there. Now we've moved on to Arab Rock 2. So it's like, oh. Because I'm just letting the music play as it goes. So it's like, oh. Long song on the Arab Rocks. Anyways. But yeah, so the built-in cheats, it's for the Genesis version. Good stuff. The watch mode, where you can actually watch a video that plays the game for you, and then you can jump in at any time. That's brilliant stuff. That was great. The music. I will admit that a lot of people like salivate over this soundtrack. I don't, but I will admit that I actually do not mind. I mean, the soundtrack. Heck, I think it's all right. I ended up giving it 2 positives. It is a damn good soundtrack. I just don't. I just think people should tone it down a little. The animations are nice and are smooth and detailed. There are excellent checkpoints throughout the entire game. I ended up giving those a triple positive because I was just like, I was so impressed with how frequent and awesome the checkpoints were. I felt Agrabah was a good introduction level to get your feet wet. And then there was and then the only other level I gave a positive to was Rug Ride, and the only boss fight I gave a positive to was Gazim. I don't think fighting Gazim makes any fucking sense at all, but it was still fun to fight him. So 11 positives there. Now on to the gameplay negatives. Yeah, there's 13 of them. Let's get into it. The hit detection. It is wonky as fuck. It leads to some bullshit hits constantly. I also don't think there's too much in the way of iframes either. I mean, granted, that usually doesn't come up too much because enemy placement is not that bad. But as -3 shows, yeah, the enemy placement can be dickish in a few levels. The visual distinction makes navigation a fucking nightmare at times, most notably in level 2, the desert specifically. I find the enemy variety to be lacking because so many of the enemies are just the fucking guards constantly, and it's just kind of, ugh. I mean, granted, yeah, there's a level in the SNES version that reuses enemies, but there's still more variety because in the first level you're fighting mostly the guards. Okay, that makes sense. That's the market, the marketplace of Agrabah, the streets of Agrabah. You're fighting bats and scorpions in the Cave of Wonders mostly. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, scorpions from a desert. From a desert region, and bats in a cave. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, the random flying pots, I think, are the only real enemies in Genie's Lamp. And then, and then you're fighting the reskinned, and then you're fighting Jafar's Goots, which actually do add a couple of varieties that actually made their debut in the previous pyramid level. Specifically, the boomerang sword dudes, right, and that. Otherwise, it's reused other than Iago, and I think that's fine, But yeah, no. I don't like the level design in the Genesis version. As a weird timing for the level complete tune. And then the bonus tune to pop up, it shows up. But anyways, so. But yeah, I don't like the level design at all. Viscerality, I feel, is lacking this time around because it doesn't feel like my attacks have any impact at all. I feel disconnected when the guards disappear into a puff of smoke. I'm just like, okay, he fucked off, and that's like it. I don't feel the oomph of my attacks. That's bullcrap because I feel the oomph of my attacks in the frickin' SNES version, so it can be done. But whatever. So that's it. Six presentation negatives. Now onto the boss fight. Onto a boss fight that I gave a negative to. See, Gazim is actually fun to fight, but Raoul, not so much. Don't have enough apples? Sucks to be you. Then there's the Sultan's Dungeon, which is just full of gotcha, and it's just an annoying maze of irritation. Only good thing about that level, in my opinion, is the music, which I believe Maybe it is one jump ahead. I don't know. I hate that scrolling interrupted the music, but whatever. Anyways, but yeah. Cave of Wonders is where the visual distinction problems are on full blast, and I frickin' hate it. And then there's Rug Ride. Tens. Rug Ride is tens, and wow, I worded this badly. Maybe tense. But is the biggest trial and error level in the entire game. Then there's Inside the Lamp, which is annoying and is just plain mean and not fun as a level, in my opinion. And I really hated the Inside the Lamp in the Genesis version. Then there's the final fight against Jafar, which is annoying as he is immune to your sword, so apples are how you beat him. Wait, what? How does that make any sense? Like, literally, the way you beat him is to throw apples at him. What the actual fuck? That's actually why they constantly spawn in those apples, so you can throw a few more at him. Oh, and you have to get the angle just right. And they go on a little bit of an arc. So, have fun. Yeah, the outro is honestly pretty bad. I find the whole final level and final boss fight to just be obnoxious, bad, and awful. Only took me one session, one session to beat, well, basically all three of them, but I split it up into 3 parts. But yeah, no, not a fan of the Genesis version of Aladdin. But if you think I'm harsh on the Genesis version, wait till you see how harsh I am on the Game Boy version. Oh, Lord, the Game Boy version. Let's get into it. Is -2 on story, -16 on gameplay. Oh god, I was way more merciless. I was way more merciless on this one. Let's just get into it. The idle animations are still awesome, but all 3 of the same problems that plagued the Genesis version story-wise are still here. Story sequencing is still a mess, the ending is still pathetic, and the outro is as bad as the Genesis one. For gameplay positives now, I only came up with 6. Yeah, that means we're going to be talking about 23 gameplay negatives. Let's just get into it. The watch mode is still good. The checkpoints are still a full 3 positives. Agrabah Market was actually a decent opening level. Gazim was still a good boss fight, and Rug Ride is slowed down, which makes it actually a better level overall. If you remember, Rug Ride was a positive and a negative in the Genesis version. Yeah, that's it. Just those 7 positives. Now let's get into the fucking 23 negatives. Oof. 29 negatives. Excuse me. I think. No, it should be 23. Anyways, sorry. Whatever. However many negatives, let's just get into it. The hit detection is even worse than in the Genesis version, as at least there was a sense of the enemies actually getting hit. Whereas on the Game Boy, it feels like there's just no impact whatsoever. Then there's the level design being the same as the Genesis version, aka bad. The visual distinction is simultaneously better and worse, mostly worse. And yeah, the more I thought about it, the more that was a triple negative. Viscerality this time, while it was 1 negative on the Genesis version, it's a triple negative on the frickin' Game Boy, because holy crap. Yeesh. There's even more of a disconnect, and that causes all of the problems, so. causes all the problems. Jumping and falling feel wonky as fuck, as when you're jumping you have control, but when you're falling you don't. And then you combine that with the fact that you can't attack in midair, and that was a full 3 negatives right there. Like, what the fuck? Also, why the hell is watch mode only available for the regular version and not the color variant? Serious fail there, honestly. Enemy placement is once again dickish, and the enemy variety is lacking. Then there's the desert, which I feel is even worse in the Game Boy since the scarab has to be collected in order. This may have been the way it was in the Genesis version, but I literally was like, I'll just go get this other half. Wait, where the hell's the other half? Ugh, it's so stupid. Sultan's Dungeon, and Cave of Wonders, both still just as bad. And believe it or not, the Jafar fight was actually worse on the Game Boy because it was pathetically easy. He doesn't have a snake form. He doesn't have a snake form. Like, it's stupidly easy to avoid all of his attacks, throw apples at him, and just win. Oof. And yeah, and it was 23. The outro also still sucks. Fuck, I hate the Game Boy version. The Game Boy version can go die in a fire. I will never play the Game Boy version again. Gross. Fuck the Game Boy version. So let's move on to something I'm a lot more positively inclined towards, shall we? The Super Nintendo version. Yes! I really enjoy this one. Done. So, let's get into it. This one, it's probably unfair because, as you heard by that logo, this one's made by Capcom. So, naturally, your story positives are the sprite work being detailed and awesome. Animations being, well, not as good as it may not be as awesome as the Genesis version, but are still good. The stage cutscenes, I actually do kind of like them. They are basic, but they convey the basic idea of the story well. It isn't a replacement for watching the movie, but they still do their job fine, which has been true of a lot of the Super Nintendo Disney games. So, cool. And then there's the little animations in stages 1 and 2. With meeting Jasmine after the first boss, and Abu grabbing a gem that angers the Cave of Wonders. So it kind of adds to the flavor. Like I said, the cutscenes are very basic, but they actually do their job well. The backgrounds have nice detail to them, and the story wraps up well in terms of the outro because you actually get a resolution to the story. And then I gave one story negative, and that was Abu making it so that we had to go into the whatchamacallit. We had to go to the pyramid level. But that's it. That's all. That's the story score. +4 to story. So cool. Now, time for the gameplay positives. Watch mode is still a great feature. The music. I admit it, I didn't give the music as much of a positive, but that's mostly because the original tracks are fine. But the thing is that I do still think Capcom gave us some good music. Even if what you're hearing right now is actually the, actual arranged version of Friend Like Me that I can actually show up on the title screen. Enemy variety is not the greatest, but certainly better than the Genesis and Game Boy versions. Visual distinction is honestly pretty good this time around. Itemization in terms of apples and heals is nice. The Genesis version was okay with it, hence why it was just a wash there. I actually like the level design in this one. Here's an example. Simple. I like this tune. Anyways. But yeah, good level design. I find the HUD to be simple but very informative. The checkpoints are good, even if you don't really see where they are most of the time. Agrabah is on the stage that this song actually plays for. Or is a good start to the game. Shows off multiple aspects of it very nicely. The fruit vendor, he is a basic but fun boss fight in my opinion. I find the Cave of Wonders to be an interesting level that rewards your exploration. I like escaping the Cave of Wonders as it's a fun and frantic level. And no, I don't care that both parts are auto-scrollers, as that just makes perfect sense. And on top of that, I've never really had this... I've never really understood people's, like, hatred of auto-scrollers. Like, it's been explained to me multiple times, and I still don't get it. You know? Wow, there's no connecting tissue. It just abruptly cuts to the boss fight. What the hell? Oof. Inside the Genie's Lamp is a fun and interesting level. The bonus stage is nice and relaxing. That's the whole new world stage. Jafar's human form is fun to fight. Still basic, but fun at the same time. I also enjoy fighting his snake form. I find it's a fun and engaging final boss. And yes, I gave an outro and replayability positive. And yes, as you can tell by the plus 17 I gave to gameplay, there is only one gameplay negative. And that is Stage 5. It is my least favorite stage in the whole game. Annoying level design, obstacles, and red gem placements that feel wrong, and just a general lack of polish is everywhere in the rest of the game, but not there. And with that, that's Disney's Aladdin for you. Not much for me to say. I got through all three of them at real quick, and I don't I don't feel like it's warranted that I go ahead and that I do give you much visuals, because again, the streams are very short, and I have them linked below. So this one is probably going to be the one that just goes up just without any real edits, admittedly. Because admittedly, that was never really the point of these rating videos. The point of these rating videos were just to give a quick, verbal explanation of each of the positives and negatives. It was never really meant to be a replacement for watching the streams. But that being said, I actually don't mind the fact that it's, I do like this format, and I will probably continue it, but I'm not going to be too expansive, because again, I get the ideas as I should show visuals of different things, and I might just put up some visuals to kind of show off the different levels, actually. That's actually something I can jot down. And actually, so more than likely I will, go and grab some clips, because it won't take long. And then, yeah. But yeah, I just enjoyed my time with the SNES version. Not so much the other two, but yeah, I do think if you get the collection, it is worth playing through, especially with the cheats and the watch mode. But yeah, that's Disney's Aladdin, guys. I promise you. I promise you now. As we get the level clear your stuff. And the bonus thing. Really? Why is this after the credit edits on this playlist? What the hell? Anyways, I'm gonna chop off for the day. This is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out for real this time. Next up is the audit run of Sky 1. See you guys later. Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Are you done? No, of course you're not. Blue Wolf Alex, the Lore Walker, signing out. Have a good one. Later.